when your coach is yelling at you that you suck from the sideline, it's not because you really suck. It's because he's seen you be better.
Yeah.
And he wants you to be better. And he knows you're going to be better.
Welcome back to the Modern Agent Podcast. My name is Logan Ricchetti with Modern Realty. This podcast is a combination of thoughts and opinions on the real estate market in Midland, Michigan with our local real estate agents from Modern Realty. Our mission is to create informed and confident buyer and seller clients, so tune in to learn more about Midland's real estate market.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tyler DuRussel with Modern Realty here with Eryn Travis.
Hi.
Eryn, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. So today I wanted to start mainly with just kind of the modern origin stories. I know you've been there since not quite the beginning, but just after the beginning.
Pretty close to the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, tell me about that, because you were actually a client of Modern while Modern was being born, right?
Yes. I started working with Kevin Crampton to buy my own house in like May of 2015. And in July of 2015, Logan Ricchetti started his brokerage at Modern Realty, and I closed like October, November of 2015. So just shortly after. So I was Kevin's client, and we went under contract before he joined Modern. And then it switched in the middle of our deal. He switched brokerages and had to have me sign some documents that we were switching. And then I closed. I was Kevin Crampton's first closing at Modern Realty as a client. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then a year later, you came on board.
Yeah, I came on board a year later. It was actually about 6 months later. Well, no, because January I referred Kevin, another client friend of mine. And because we work in a business in an industry with referrals, at the time I was working at Verizon and selling houses. And he sent me Logan, actually, to buy a cell phone.
There we go.
And so when I was selling cell phones, when I helped Logan find his phone, he was like, you should probably sell houses. And I was like, bet. So I took my license course that summer and got my license in November of 2016. So just a year later.
Jumped right in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you started, there wasn't how many agents?
I think I was the 7th or 8th. It was definitely less than 10. It was a small brokerage, real small brokerage.
Okay, yeah, brand new.
Yeah.
Still in the infant stages. And as it grew, as it evolved, and we'll talk about that process today, you eventually grew into the listings department, listing coordinator.
Yeah.
What did that transition look like, or who came? Did you go to Logan and say, I'd like to be a part of this? Did he come to you? What was that process?
That was kind of a mutual conversation. When you start real estate, I'm sure a lot of agents who are new, less than 2 years, know the struggle of it's not always immediate business that comes to you. You don't just walk on with, $4 million in sales all the time. Some people do. Kudos. But a lot of the time you have to kind of work. You have to get your name out there. You have to learn how to network and brand yourself. And I was really struggling with that from 2016 when I got my license to 2018. And I was working part-time random jobs. I was working part-time night shift at Taco Bell. Just anything because I wanted to still provide for my family. But my career goal was always my real estate.
Yep.
And Logan, at one point, we just had a very blunt conversation, as Logan does have those. And he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I don't know. So then he offered me a part-time position, and I was actually the sign runner when I first started. So I worked just 2 or 3 days a week, and I would just go deliver all the signs for the properties. And it radically changed my career. And it's not just because, I had a different job or anything. It was because I went from working all these smaller part-time jobs that had nothing to do with real estate. And it was harder to bring up that conversation. And my brain wasn't always on a real estate focused. And then when you work in your real estate office, real estate is what you eat, sleep, and breathe suddenly. And it's easier to come to conversations. You learn more, you develop your skill, you level up as an agent. And so that changed my life, just even being a sign runner, which means I was on the road most of the time, but I was in the office more. At the same time, I was still like interacting with all the agents. And it helped me become a better agent for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Being in the office is paramount. Even if I have nothing to do that day, I'll come into the office, I'll hang out, I'll ask what's going on.
Yeah.
What's the latest with everybody, just because all it takes is asking one person one question who's going through a transaction with something going on that you've never seen before, never heard of before, and now you get a 20-minute briefing of what's going on, and I guess now if that ever pops up, I know somewhat what to do with that now.
And you also can learn like missteps, because as agents, we're not perfect. And sometimes we do find ourselves in situations that we're like, oh crap, how do I get out of this? So you can like avoid things in your career of like, oh, I can't do that because I learned from somebody else. They did that and they got themselves into a pickle. So it's a learning lesson. It's being around agents at the office every day is how I would recommend any agent. Is if you don't have showings, if you don't have closings, if you have nothing to do, just go to the office and spend time with realtors, because that's all we do is talk about real estate.
Good things will happen.
Oh yeah, good things happen when you come to the office.
So with the listings department and learning from other agents, we just mentioned that we had under 10 when you first started working at Modern, and now we're up to 53
53.
agents? 53 agents. That's a lot of agents. And you work for all of them.
I do work for all of them.
You
support all of them.
handle everyone's listings. You support everyone in getting their listings going, all the documents involved. That's a lot. Because it's a lot, you have to learn so much doing that job outside of just the listing process itself.
Yeah, so I know I had to learn a lot more of like the back end, and I'm the type of person who likes to know why I'm doing something and not just, oh, well, I have to have this document. So when I got past the sign runner stage and I got moved up to an assistant to the listings department, that was my next step. And that's when I started working full time all the time there. But I wasn't quite as involved. But I learned the documents, what they actually meant, like sat down and read it line item by line item, analyzed what the wording was, and really did the research to understand why does this document even need to be signed? Because it's important when you're explaining it to your clients that they know that you understand the document. You're not just shoving documents in their face, because that's not the point.
Yeah,
you're supposed to understand what they're signing, because probably 1 out of 10 clients will ask you. But when that 1 out of 10 client does ask you,
gotta be ready.
You've got to know, and you don't want to stumble. So that really helped me a lot, and I had to learn a lot more of like the back end process of like, okay, well, why do I need to have what does seller approval mean of a listing, and why do I need that? Why do I need that so far in advance? So understanding that process and why our listings all come out looking top notch, and they all have great photography, excellent remarks. The social media is on point, and everything looks so systematic. It's because we have a system, and it makes sense, and it works. So it was really interesting to learn that way.
Yeah, and hearing you say everything's top notch, you're totally right. And I want to talk about that. You got to see at the beginning while things were being built, while there was probably trial and error going on. And now looking back where we were as a company to where we are now, just talk about, I guess, some of the growth, maybe growing pains, or just the patterns that you see Logan and Kevin and others like that, where they could say, hey, we're here, we need to get here, and what that looked like.
Yeah, so one of my favorite things that happened was I was involved in the listings department like full time at the time when I saw our staff take our systems and our programs and everything and go digital with it and just do like all drive, all cloud. Like everything is not hard drive anymore. We don't have to use Publisher and all these random different programs and try to make things work and do twice as much work. We really streamlined the system and using Canva and all these different programs. I was able to see us take our flyers off of Publisher and redesign it in Canva, because Canva is so user friendly, and we can copy and paste it and then edit your name and your image and just swap everything out and then make you your own folder. So we just copy your flyers and change those as it's just. I was able to see us take what used to be a process that took so long, go like lightning fast, and that also freed up, the listings team to be able to. We're able to support you guys in different ways. So that's when we added like that digital media, social media manager to be able to do like stories and reels. And I custom made the reel design and, getting on TikTok, seeing all of these like it seems major jumps, even though it was very recent. It was all within the last probably 4 or 5 years that we've changed all of our systems, but it's just been constantly to improve. And that's something I really appreciate about Logan is we have on a staff point of view, I have one-on-ones with Logan, but we also have staff meetings with Logan quarterly, and we talk about our systems. We say, okay, is there a bottleneck somewhere? Is there somewhere in your day-to-day job that you feel like you're just doubling your work? Is there anything we can streamline? And we analyze that, because our goal on staff is we have 53 agents. We don't have time to be doing double work. We don't have time for things to be slower or more hassle. So we are very conscious, and him from like a leadership level all the way through the staff, the support side, we always want to just completely support the agents in the fastest, best, like most smooth way that also keeps us top notch and like brand level of like clean and simple and very classy.
Yeah, no, and you guys do a great job of it. I know that, and I try not to, because I know you guys have a million people you're dealing with at times, but there's times where we might need something at a different time than what you'd expect to need it at as an agent. And you guys are always spectacular on us calling or texting or emailing going, hey, I know it was supposed to be this, but actually we need to do this now. And I feel that I'm the only person you guys are helping at the time.
And that's the goal. Like when you texted me this Saturday morning at like 9 a.m., you needed my help with something.
Yeah.
And it was something you didn't have time to do. And I was like, you know what? It's not a problem. I got you. I'll go take care of it. And you were actually helping another agent from a different office with something. And it actually made that experience really great. And that agent called me and was like, hey, I just wanted to thank you for working on a Saturday. He was so appreciative of that. And I built that relationship with an agent from outside our office because of our support. And I think that that's really awesome. And sometimes I like to remind our staff is we don't just work for 53 agents to support them. We support all of their clients. So, when one agent has 12 active listings, we're not supporting that one agent. We're supporting the 12 active listings plus the buying sides of those deals. So it extends.
Yes. So hearing that, your mindset on helping us, helping the other agents, helping all the families involved, and what you said earlier about Logan pulling you aside, having those one-to-ones, very direct, very blunt, I think it all speaks to the culture at Modern. Basically him telling you, why are you working at Taco Bell in the middle of the night? Like, what can we do to, and the culture at Modern is something that I love.
It is.
I'm big into just always, what can we streamline? What can we do better? Like, let's just be the best. Let's not just skate by it. Let's not just be good enough. Let's not be 4.5 stars. Let's be 5 stars. Talk about the culture at Modern and just the environment, the agents, everybody.
Yeah. So Modern Realty, I think every brokerage talks about how they're a family, but I think that something that's unique about Modern is our family is direct, and sometimes everybody should know. Sometimes in families you get your feelings hurt a little bit, but it's the intention behind it. And I think that is something that I always have known is like Logan's intention is never to like offend somebody or hurt somebody or just tick someone off. Like that's not his intention. He genuinely wants every single agent in our office to succeed and to be their very best, whatever that is. And he'll do what he can, and he'll look at your situation and he'll help you 100%. And I remember when I was a little baby agent and I was year 1 or 2 and I was struggling with everything, I had a hard time with some of his direct conversations. But something about me is I was a wrestler for 13 years. So I take direct criticism and people yelling at me as like a very motivational thing. I know that they're yelling at me because they want me to be better. When your coach is yelling at you that you suck from the sideline, it's not because you really suck. It's because he's seen you be better.
Yeah.
And he wants you to be better. And he knows you're going to be better. And that's, if you have that mindset going into Modern, not that Logan's mean by any stretch of the imagination, but he's very passionate about you being successful. And he will be sometimes more passionate than you are even. And that's one of my favorite things about the culture there is everybody wants to help everyone else. It's not even just from Logan. I can go to Tim, I could go to Kevin, I can go to the newest agent, Colette, or one of the newer agents, Colette. I can go to Brett. I can go any agent at Modern. If I needed help and they had any way to help me, support me, they would.
You could come to Tyler.
I could go ask
I'd
Tyler.
help
Tyler would help me. I help Tyler. Tyler helps me. That's the way it works. Is I could go to you. I could go to Matt. It's such a intertwined thing. There's not cliques. There's not like friend groups, and we're all just focused on being successful agents and individually successful, and Modern Realty as the brand successful. And I appreciate that agents at our office really do recognize our brand and want to get our name out there because it's a local small business. It's not, Air Reinhardt. It's not Remax, which is everywhere.
It's not a national brand.
It's not a national brand. Logan designed the logo and made the name, and he branded this and he made it into what it is. And so that's something I love, is that our agents also are recognizing that. And we're one of the bigger agencies in Midland because of it. So
absolutely. So you said that the direct conversations were a little different for you when you first started, and it makes me think there's so many different personalities in real estate, and I'm similar. I'm, whether it's motivational or something I just need to do better at, I'm very much get to the point, be stern, like, hey, no, this needs to be this way. What are you doing?
Yeah, hurt my feelings.
I
it's
like
okay.
the aggressiveness because I'm a pretty aggressive, confrontational, if you will, person, also attack things head on. But not everybody's like that. And I can imagine where that'd be difficult from a broker's perspective. I know it's difficult when you're working with another agent in a transaction and they might have a very different mindset. Not that one's right and one's wrong, but you have to take that into account, how I can speak with them, how their sellers or buyers, their clients might perceive it, how your buyers or sellers might perceive it, and manage all the different ways of talking to different personalities. How does that, or does it even come in effect with you as a listings department working with 53 other people, and how can I tell them this versus how I would tell this person this?
100%. I think that's all of this industry in every single way, and probably across a lot of industries where you work with different personalities. There's agents that I know communicate better via text, and then I know there's certain agents that if I send them an email, they find it passive aggressive, and it's never my intention to be rude in any way. But learning what somebody else feels more comfortable with sometimes takes a minute. You don't always know until they tell you. I personally, email is easier for the listings department, just because there's so many hands. There's, 3 people in the listings department. We have a sign runner. We have 2 people on staff running the listings. And then we also have a closing department and an admin. So we have, 4 staff members. And email is really easy because everybody can see it. And it's in text and we can refer back to it. It's a lot easier versus if somebody calls you, then you have to remember exactly what they said, or even a text. If you send me a text, Amber doesn't get the text.
Right.
And then I have to communicate it to Amber. So it just gets messy. Email is easier, but there are agents that don't really like when I email them. They prefer me to call them, or they prefer to FaceTime. Yeah. And so and that's what I really like about working in the listings department and the culture at Modern is you build those connections, and I can FaceTime my friend Emily and we'll talk about her listing and the docs that she needed signatures on and didn't have yet. And then she's telling me about when she's going to go meet them and when photography is. And we FaceTime because I know Emily and I know that's the way she likes to communicate. If I sent her an email, she would find that very rude. She'd be like, why the heck didn't you FaceTime me? Why are you mad at me? So
you get to really know everybody.
Yeah. And I know for you, I feel like we text a lot more than email, but email would work just as fine and you wouldn't get offended. So it just, learning communication styles. I think I've developed that from Kevin and Logan, learning just to read people a little easier. And especially when, you and I, we were just talking about how we have pretty big, strong personalities and they can take over a room, which can step on toes. So learning how to just reel yourself in a little bit and still be yourself, but not offend people or not, overpower the situation. I learned a lot of reading that from Logan.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, transitioning out of the listings and just kind of more into day-to-day real estate life, I had a conversation on Sunday afternoon with a client that I wanted to talk about here just to kind of get some different perspective on it. I won't go into details about the conversation, but so I was out of town, rough service, and we were going through, we had an inspection report back with requests for after the inspection. So I tried calling, drove into town 20 minutes so I could get service, tried calling, couldn't get a hold of them, drove back to where I was staying at. Of course, as soon as I get back there, a text comes through, hey, I'm available now. So drive back out 20 minutes into town, get there, and I go over everything, and by no means was this an unreasonable or anything requests that were being done. But this phrase that then was asked afterwards is by my client, okay, how do we play this part of the game? And I cut them off, and I said, I understand what you're saying there, but I want you to think about this less as a game, because I know that's what everyone thinks about it. How do we maneuver this and that? And I want you to think of what's our main goal? Because we're not playing the game. You have a goal right now, and your goal is to sell this house because you can't make your next move in life until you sell this house. So forget trying to play a chess game. What's the quickest way from A to B that's not detrimental to you? And they said, oh, that's a lot better way of looking at it. You're right. Okay. What do you think, Tyler? And we went over everything, and they said, that makes total sense. Send it over. We'll sign it. How do you view that culture of buyers and sellers on either side trying to feel like they maybe got one up or I'm winning rather than a collective mindset of we're working towards a common goal? Yeah.
I mean, I think that it's important, and I usually lay that out from the first time I meet clients, whether it's a seller or a buyer, is like, hey, I want to understand why you're doing this. Again, I like to know the why. I want to know why we're doing things. Why are you selling? Why do you have to buy? And I make sure that I remind them frequently throughout the processes, has your why changed? Because you wanted to move because you were having a baby. I hope you still want to move and you haven't decided to build onto your current house.
Right.
If your why changes, just let me know. And that helps a lot because we talk about in Modern about deal momentum and staying solution focused. And I think that when you don't treat negotiations as a game, because to me, it's not a game. Someone's life is not a game. You're talking about someone's house.
Right.
Okay. You're talking about thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars at times. it's not a game.
Yeah.
It's not
and
a
for
game.
the record, I don't think they think the transaction's a game, but the negotiation part.
Yeah,
of it.
that's what I'm saying is like that part for me, I don't even personally, I don't view it as a game, and I don't treat it as a game with my clients because this is very real life. This is you either get the house or you don't in negotiations. And then once you're past that, you're in the purchase agreement and it's either you get to close on the house or you don't. And so staying, like, I like the way that you phrase that. Like, how do I get from point A to point B with the least amount of friction? That's always how I talk to my clients, 100%. And I think that sometimes it can be hard because there are personalities that they don't understand real estate. If they've never bought a house or it's been years and years and years, or sold a house and it's been years and years and years, the negotiations that happened in the early 2000s, that is not the game we play these days. That's not a game. You will lose. Your feelings will get hurt. And some people just need their feelings to get hurt. Some people need to lose a couple to understand that we have to be very direct and we have to be very point blank and we have to be very understanding and compromise, because a lot of people don't get that. I've won a few deals in the last few years with some pretty creative tactics just because my clients understood it's not a game, but how can I sweeten the pot?
Right. Yeah.
So one time I actually wrote a purchase agreement, and it was for it went over. It was a multiple offer situation, but in the purchase agreement we also wrote that like we'd give them a year of Taco Bell for free, and you bet your butt at closing we had a large Taco Bell gift card for them, 100%. I mean, how can you not, right? I mean, when we walked in, they had like Taco Bell on their couch. They had little Taco Bell couch cushions. So my clients picked up on that. We wrote the offer. We're gonna be default aggressive. We're gonna be charming. We're gonna be sweet. But we're going to use every single card we have.
Including gift cards.
It was on the PA. I was like, we're going to do it. It's going to happen.
That's fantastic. And not only is that fantastic because at face value, that's fantastic, but that had to have made the whole transaction so light and so much more enjoyable for everyone. And I'm sure that closing table was a riot.
It was fun. Everybody was laughing about it. We all had a good time, and they made jokes like, oh, who's taking who out to Taco Bell now? You know?
Did the other agent call you and go, I just want to double check. Does this say free Taco Bell for a year?
Yep. And then he was like, how much exactly is that? And I was like, well, we calculate it per taco for how many people are in the family. So it's going to be roughly this amount. And they were like, oh, okay. Well, I just need to know when I present it. And I said, okay.
That's awesome.
It was a really fun, but that's something that I bring into my clients is staying solution focused. You can have fun. You can make it a game, but staying solution focused. To win that, I was like, you don't have wiggle room in your budget to go much higher than the asking price. You have to think outside the box. Let's have fun with this, you know? Yeah, sure, write your cover letter. Send that letter of endearment. We want to know about your cute little puppies. Absolutely. But let's also offer Taco Bell because they like Taco Bell. So why not?
I just got better as an agent, having heard this story.
I'm glad to hear that.
That's
I have
fantastic.
a couple more I'll share with you sometime. But you just got to get creative, and that's the passion that I feel like I have and you have in real estate, is like being passionate and being aware and staying focused on not allowing your clients to kick themselves in the foot or shoot themselves in the foot over it because they don't know what they're doing. I said that the last time I was here, is like, you wouldn't hand the keys of, a Maserati to a 12-year-old. They don't understand how to drive a car in the first place. They definitely don't understand how to drive that car.
Yeah.
So, and that's not demeaning. They just don't. And it's okay that they don't. That's why they hire you. That's why you get in the driver's seat and you hand them the map or the GPS on the phone and you say, hey, Google where we're going. I'll drive. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think so many people are afraid to drive because they're afraid of possibly offending or feeling like they're coming across as controlling or bossy and not involving their clients enough in the situation. But I actually just had a deal closed that they hired me. We didn't really know each other that well. But they reached out to me and they had just taken their house off the market. They weren't having great success with it. And unfortunately, they felt like they were constantly asking their agent for more guidance and more support and more, what do we do? And they were met with a lot of shrugging. And so I think, put your hand on that wheel when you're the agent. As a client, like we say at Modern, we want to make people informed. We want to make people confident. And the only way to do that is to drive.
Yeah.
You have to take control. I think another thing that might be a problem nowadays, like you said, with having to, especially in deals with multiple offers, take control is, I think texting's ruined a lot because I think so many people, agents primarily is what I'm just talking about, rely on texting rather than calling, where if they would just pick up that phone, you'd understand that I wasn't trying to just get you to lower the price $30,000. I'm trying to tell you like, hey, we're here and I'm trying to get a deal done. I'm not trying to play a game. I need to make sure you guys aren't trying to play a game. And this summer I had 3 or 4 deals in a row where I had agents call me a few days later and like, hey, back to that deal you were bringing to the table. We're ready to do this. Sorry, we're under contract somewhere else now. And if if there was just more communication and less gamesmanship, everyone would just be so much more seamless.
I couldn't agree more. I think that you can't always hear someone's tone in a text. I mean, emojis help, and I'm a big emoji person, so I'll send you a full text of just emojis, and you'll understand what I mean. But it doesn't bring across the way that you actually care about what's going on.
Yeah.
And texting can seem very cold and distant, especially when a client knows that agent has many other clients. It can make them feel like 1 in 100. And I would never want a client to feel that way. Even if they are one of 10, one of 20 clients that I have, that client is just as important to me and their situation is just as important. And picking up the phone and saying, hey, I haven't talked to you in 2 days. This is where we're at with your listing. I can only recommend you to do one of two things, and it's up to you which way you want to go. And you can either give me the price reduction, or we can boost the marketing and hope for the best. We can up the open houses, but really the best option is going to be doing that price reduction and all the other stuff. And having that conversation and explaining to the seller why, or the client why that's going on, it makes them understand that you care.
Yeah, you can't just shoot them a text.
You can't.
It has to be a full-on conversation. It just gives them time to actually ask questions and not just feel like they're responding to a screen and typing letters. Like, I get to talk to Eryn.
Yeah.
Ask Eryn, because it's okay. Like you said earlier, it's okay to say, Eryn, I don't understand why we're doing this price drop. Yeah. Understand why we don't have this traffic.
Yeah.
Help me out here.
And instead of just, screenshotting the data or the showing time feedback and sending that over, which can hurt some feelings.
Yeah.
It's a lot better to just pick up the phone and say, hey, we've been on the market for 40 days. We've had 3 showings. All 3 said that the feedback said that the listing was cute, but it was overpriced. So
here we are.
We're going to have that conversation now. Having that verbal conversation is a lot more of building that relationship. And I think that something I tell my buyers specifically often, and my sellers, but my buyers specifically, I always say the first step in buying a home is hiring an agent. Absolutely. Make sure you hire the right one, because we're going to be talking every day. So I want you to like me, because I don't want you to regret answering the phone when I call you. I don't want you to look at my name and cringe. I want you to enjoy it. So we need to get along. We need to have a great relationship and pick the right agent. I want to be that agent because I think we'll get along swell, and I'm pretty awesome. So let's do this. I breeze by it and I joke about it because that's my personality. Yeah. But I do hit that right up front, is like, we're going to talk every day, or we're going to talk every other day. We're going to be texting back and forth Zillow links. Like, let's do this. You're going to see my name, and we have to get along. And that's building that relationship with the client. And that's also what makes those clients long-term clients. That's when they start referring their friends and their family and their parents and their grandparents and everybody they know that wants to buy, sell, rent, whatever it is. They'll refer them to you because you built that relationship, because you picked up the phone and called, and you didn't just shoot them a text every time.
Yeah, that's what the 2 things I tell everyone when we get started, whether buying or selling, is you have to like me. I'm not saying that you have to like me, but if you're going to hire me, you have to enjoy talking with me, because we're going to be talking regularly a lot. Mm-hmm. So enjoy that. Number 2, I'm going to be honest with you. And so you have to be ready for honesty, because like you said, I'm not going to try to put any filler in here, whether you're selling your home or we're looking for a home. And you can tell when people are wanting you to say a certain thing, right? I'm not going to say that certain thing. I'm not going to say, I see where you're coming from here, but I'm going to be honest with you, because ultimately that's going to be the best for our relationship and for your success moving forward, whether buying or selling. So be ready to talk to me a lot, be ready to get to know me, and expect full-on honesty, because nothing else is going to help you.
Expect your feelings to get hurt from Tyler DuRussel.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Your feelings will not get hurt. No, but I think that just showcases your genuine passion for the situation. And like, I like to know the why behind every situation, because then I can care just as much as they do. And I can move forward through, okay, well, they're looking for a house for this reason. So I can filter what I'm looking for. No, even if they tell me they're looking for something, I can also be like, well, maybe not. Yeah. If you're looking for this, you're going to want this kind of a house. So it can filter the way I'm looking for houses. If I understand why someone's selling their house, I can understand whether it's I need the most money or I need to sell fast, because those don't always come together.
Nope. Sometimes
you just need to sell fast, which means you can't always want the highest price. If you don't have to sell, shoot for the stars, baby. Mm-hmm. Who cares? We'll give it 30 days on the market. You know what I mean? Yeah. And if that's what they want to do, I am game for that, because you deserve it. Let's go. Understanding the why behind someone's motive to move and buy or sell is how you play the game the best.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Hey, Tyler.
What's up?
How many brokerages did you interview with before Modern?
I interviewed with just Modern. I had no intentions of becoming a realtor. I kind of briefly touched on this story last time I was in here, but so aside from working for and with Modern Realty, I work for Matt Smith also. And Matt and I had a pretty good relationship through the fitness community, getting to know each other while he owned Smitty's Gym. And then I worked for him as a personal trainer while he was head of personal training at Greater Midland. And after he kind of got going and really turned into the animal that he is in the real estate world, he reached out to me, asked me to have lunch with him, and just kind of laid out this business plan of me getting my real estate license, working for him, learning from him, helping him helping me. And I said, absolutely not. No way. I was terrified of the thought of going into it. And that was that. A year later, we kept in touch, obviously, through running, through hunting. He reached out to me. I remember, I might remember the exact date. July 24th is in my head, but July 24th of 2022, he reached back out and said, man, I'm still thinking about this a lot. Let's have lunch again. So we have lunch again. We go over kind of the same stuff. And I said, I'm comfortable in life. Like, everything's good. I don't want to disrupt any apple cards. And he said, just come have a meeting with me in Logan. So I go and have the meeting with him in Logan. And after 20 minutes in there, I was still not changing my mind. And then Logan just looked at me and he used some different language, but he said, like, this is a terrible idea if you don't take this. Like, this is a no-brainer. So I went home and talked to a few other people, and they're like, yeah, dude, just do it. And I did it, and there was no questions asked. I think I told Matt on end of August, like 30th or 31st, that, hey, man, yeah, let's do this. Started taking courses or whatever, September 1st. I tested September 29th or the 30th, whatever the last day in September is when I tested for it, because then I was heading straight up to the cabin, I remember, for hunting, and stopped on the way up for a little celebration with Matt, who was in Rose City at the time, and it was only ever going to be Modern.
When you first started in your real estate career, I know that you, like you said, you had started, you wanted to, you were hired to help Matt. Did you actually intend for you to, like, be as successful on your own independently? Did you see that coming as quickly as it has? Because let's be honest, you've only had your license a couple of years, but
yeah,
you're a powerhouse for a newbie.
Thank you.
You're not any, like, people know who you are. You're
Thank
a
you.
good realtor for being 2 years in, for sure.
I appreciate that. Yes and no. I don't do anything without thinking, like, my ultimate goal is to be better than Matt, right? Who's number one, be better. Like, that's just what I do for everything. So I always thought I could do it. I didn't think it would happen. I didn't think my year 2 would be as good as my year 2 was. Year 1 was really hard. Like you said, when you start, you're just scratching and clawing and what can I do? And then you always feel like you're not doing enough for your clients you currently have, for prospecting for new clients, for taking care of past clients, because you just don't know what you're doing. Matt and I sat down at the beginning of the year to go over his goals and what was needed from me for him. And then we kind of discussed what I wanted to do for year 2. And I kind of halfway gave him an answer, and he was like, no, that's not acceptable. You're going to either give that answer or you're not going to give that answer. And so I gave it to him what my goal was, how many families I was going to help, how much transactions I was going to do. And I think I, by the end of April, had that already. So then it just became, it's a balancing act of how am I making sure I'm supporting Matt as best I can, while also taking care of mine, and Matt helping me and fanning those flames.
And I think that, like, you and I can relate to that a lot, because I work in the listings department. How can I balance, supporting all 53 agents, but, like, hey, I need a piece of the pie. I have a real estate career.
Yeah.
I have my own clients. I have my own needs, but you also have to help everybody. And so I feel like you understand that part of the career. You just came out at, like, ground zero. That's just where you came into it. I didn't come into it until a couple years in, but it's a hard thing to balance.
Well, it's tough because, like you said earlier, all the agents you're helping, you feel responsible for all their clients as well. And it's the same way of, I might have one of Matt's clients reaching out to me needing help, whether to see a house or they might just want an update on their home that's for sale. And I might also have my clients reaching out to me asking for, and they're both, at the end of the day, my clients. And Matt feels the same way about mine. If I'm gone and he's helping out, or if I just need help because I've never been in a situation. So it's definitely a balancing act of realizing you're helping everybody, and you don't need to feel like at any given moment, you don't want your client to feel like they're one of 20 or they're one of 800 if it's you.
Yeah, it's really hard. But I think that you have obviously shown that you can be very successful at doing that. Like I said, you were not a small agent when you started. Like, you weren't someone who just had one deal their first year. You had maybe individually less deals, but you were involved in so many transactions. You had a crash course on what real estate is on every level. You understood vacant land, commercial, and residential real estate in the first 12 months. And I'll tell you what, that's not something you can say about a lot of realtors.
Yeah,
that understand vacant land, commercial, and residential real estate in the first 12 months and understand it to the point that you did, which is phenomenal.
And I'm super grateful for that. And that's being grateful for Matt, you, Logan, Tim. We were just talking about before we started rolling here about the first time we met, and I came and knocked on your door and I was like, hey, I'm Tyler and I'm going to bug you every day for the next 3 months. I didn't get to go through like the Modern boot camp and learn how Modern does everything. I just
hit the ground running.
I jumped in the passenger seat of Matt's Jeep and just figured out how to do things, learned from Matt, and asked you a million questions, asked Catherine up front a million questions. Our title team asked them all the questions. And then this past summer, I had a little lull, and it was fine. And I just remember sitting back and thinking, this has been great, but what don't I know yet? What resources haven't I utilized? And I sent Tim, Logan, and Kevin a group message. I said, hey, I don't want to get comfortable. I need you three now. From the beginning, Matt said, I'll teach you all this, but you're going to eventually have to go to them for that. And I'm ready for that. So a year and a half in, I'm feeling decent about myself. Go and sit down with Tim for a couple hours one day. Logan the next day says, come do a listing presentation with me. Sit across from Logan, and just as I'd want it to be, he tore me apart. Just absolutely. And I bombed it. You're nervous in front of him. And then just on top of it, I already know I'm not good in that formal setting because that's not what I do. That's not how I thrive. And it was a good hour and a half, 2 hours with Logan of him just, good job here, but this is all awful. And you need to get way, way better at this. And then he did his whole thing, and it was super helpful. Kevin, anytime that they're not in the office, I can go knock on his door. So it's just not being afraid to utilize everyone and everyone.
I love that you did that, though. I loved that you stepped back and said, how can I be better? Because I think that's what makes a lot of modern agents unique is we're all striving to be better agents. We're all trying to be unique and different. And it's difficult sometimes in this world that we have all the tech stuff, the AI, the chat GPT. Everybody wants to chat GPT their remarks. And I'll say it. I think it's crazy if you're going to chat GPT. That is not personal. Everybody can go to that website and do that. That doesn't make you unique. That doesn't make you special. That doesn't make you different. And I think that saying that and saying, no, Modern Realty, we create custom taglines. We know the features of your home and we write your description custom for you. That's something unique and special. We're not going to, grab our cell phone and take some cell phone pics and then chat GPT a remark and slap it together. It's thought out, well thought out. We advertise in a very specific way. And I think that it's really cool that you did that with your career where you stepped back and said, how can I be better? How can I grow? And what don't I know yet?
Oh, that's what I don't even think I could ever even think about entertaining another broker just because I just love that. Like you said, that's everyone in Modern. Everyone just wants to be better. This summer, I called Judy, I called Herb, and I'm like, can we get together? Like, I really want to pick your guys' brains. I stop in Colette's office, Jen's office, talk to Paul all the time. I'm working with Matt. Like, everyone's not afraid. They're just willing to, here's what I did this summer, here's what I did this year, and everyone just wants to help you grow, and that's what I love. Everyone's competitive.
Oh, yeah.
Shouldn't say everyone, but for the most part, there's a lot of competitive people in here, and it works, because when you're competitive, you just want to be better, and I know that if everyone I'm working with is better, there's a reason we sell 1 in every 4.5 houses in Midland, right? Like, we're just such a strong unit of, I want everyone to be better, because as soon as the brand gets better, I had a client that I got this summer that called me because he saw Modern signs driving around. And he said, I don't know anything about Modern, but I see your guys' signs and I see you guys on Facebook. Like, I felt like I needed to call you guys.
That's
and then,
awesome.
Luckily it just happened to be one of the houses I had a sign in the front yard for that he called me. It could have been any one of us, but it just speaks to Modern, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. And I think that it's really awesome that we all push each other to grow, because once we all grow, there's no cap to that. There's no stopping the creativity and the I don't know that word,
Ingenuity?
That's the word. I almost said it, but I was like, I might mess that one up. I homeschooled. What can I say? I think that we are all very creative and unique, and we do run our businesses a little bit differently from agent to agent. But at the end of the day, I want you to be just as successful so that I want to beat you.
Yeah.
So I want to beat Matt. You want to beat Matt. I want to beat you. We'll all end the race way up high.
Exactly.
And that's just all it is.
Right. Yeah. Everyone can have different goals or different reasons for why they're in real estate, where they want to end up, what they want to do. But no matter what that goal is, you should want to be the best at achieving that goal. And so if everyone's currently trying to be the best at achieving their goal, iron sharpens iron.
Oh, absolutely.
You just roll from there.
I couldn't say it any better.
We have a huddle every Wednesday.
Yeah.
Almost every Wednesday in our office where everyone can come to it. And there's usually a topic, or Logan will be discussing current events in real estate, and we'll go from there. But those also get heated sometimes. And there's 54, on an average day, we have probably 20, 25 agents there. So it's 25 different personalities with all different opinions. No one necessarily right, no one necessarily wrong, but it's so thought-provoking while you're in there. Even if you're not actively, vocally participating, it gets your mind churning. What's your thoughts? And you're very involved in huddle.
I am very involved in huddle. I think that it probably comes from the fact that I've been a realtor for 9 years, and a lot of our agents have been a realtor for 5 or less. So I've been a little bit longer. I also work on staff, so I have a different point of view sometimes, thinking things analytically from like a protecting the brand or the brokerage point of view, and not just winning a deal, which those are two very different points of view sometimes, where I'm like, oh, that could get messy. We don't want to have to call our, insurance. No, thanks. We don't need to do that. So I really enjoy talking like that, because I feel like there are agents in our office that you would refer to as like a shark, where they're just default aggressive. They're Logan Ricchetти. They're gonna come at you. And then there's agents where I like to think of myself a little bit as a sleeper shark, because I can be aggressive, but I don't want to be aggressive. Don't push me to be aggressive, but I can be. And then there's agents that are just so lighthearted and casual and fun. They're serious. They know their job. They're not playing games or anything, but they're just not as aggressive right out the gate. And I just love being involved in those conversations, because the job can get done any one of those 3 ways.
Yeah.
And it depends on your client, if your client is that kind of a personality, because sometimes clients don't want you to be so aggressive.
Right.
And sometimes clients are like, well, you weren't aggressive enough. And that's why we lost. So it just reading your clients. And I love going to huddle. I love listening to people's perspectives of how they handled situations, and how maybe I would have done it differently, or if I would have done the same thing, and how, it might have worked out or not worked out. And I really love just learning from other agents, because I don't want to make my own mistakes.
Do you sometimes feel like people forget you're a 9-year agent and not just listings department Eryn?
Oh, 100%. I think I'm not one to like brag about my deals. I'm not one who's constantly out at the round table, because I have my own office. So I'm not out there, with all my clients and my notebooks and my things. My stuff's all in my office, so I can shut my door and have a little privacy. And I think that because so many people come to me for questions, they forget that like I also run my own real estate career. Like I also have active listings, pending listings, deals under contract, transaction coordinator. I just closed a transaction coordinator deal yesterday. Like I know that kind of stuff. I've written, land contracts. I know that stuff. And I think people forget that, because they so focus, because I want them to feel like the most important agent in the office, and I'm going to support you. I'm not going to come to you and complain about my deals or ask questions about my deals if I don't have to.
But you'll answer all of ours. I come to you
all the time,
very often with, hey, I just got this call, this voicemail, this message, and here's how I want to respond, but I don't know if that's the best way to respond. Let me bounce it by you.
If you want to know the truth, you always go, hey, can I pick your brain for a second? That's a Tyler DuRussel phrase. Can I pick your brain for a second? Every time. And I'm like, come on in, let's chat.
And you don't hold back. Your answers are there right away. And Amber's in there, who's also her own agent. She's also got her own business. She's also super smart with everything. How long has she been doing it for? She
actually was a property manager for like 15 years before she came to Modern.
And so that is?
Yeah, that is like rentals and doing that kind of side of things. Then she got her real estate license to sell, I want to say 3 years ago now or so. And so she's been an active real estate agent for 3 years. And she sells real estate. She takes her business very seriously. Her marketing is like out of this world. She is so consistent on social media. I am not always consistent on social media.
It's tough.
It's hard. That's
It's
a hard
tough.
one for me. It's really hard. But she does definitely rock her business real well, and she knows exactly what she's doing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, especially having the 15 years of property management experience, that's a lot of, over 15 years, just think of the amount of rental she dealt with, just the amount of different personalities, which is so huge on how do I deal with every personality type. What's your go-to way of marketing if social media is the struggle? Yeah.
I like networking, but I don't like going to networking events. So I like networking naturally. So I like going to coffee shops because I will take phone calls and I want people to hear me. I'm not ashamed to talk and negotiate an inspection with randoms. I want randos to hear me because I want them to be like, hey, you sounded like you're talking about. That's how I don't like to go into a stuffy room with a bunch of guys in suits and shake hands and try to like make myself feel like I'm important. I like to just casually network
through life.
Yeah, I went to a Loons game and I handed out 4 business cards because somebody was talking about how their house key had broken, and I said, well, you don't have to fix it. I'll just help you buy a new house. And I'm casual like that. That's me. I'm gonna be so subtle. Sell you a house. But I don't like networking events, but I network in my day-to-day life. So
that's awesome. I think that is a good example of your confidence. I don't think I could just walk up to somebody who goes, man, my key ring broke, and go, speaking of new key rings, let's go get a new house.
He was in front of me in the line of food, and he was like, oh, my house key just snapped in half. And I said, oh, that's all right. I'll just help you buy a new one. And he laughed, and I laughed, and I handed him my card. When I first started in real estate, how I got my name out there is every single time I paid for something, I handed my business card. It was with my debit card. I bet McDonald's had like 60 of them because I just would go buy my kids chicken nuggets. You're going to have my business card. And then 8 months later, I was sitting at a dentist's office and I saw a girl probably 18, 20, somewhere in that age range, reading a book, and she was using my business card as her bookmark. And I was giddy. I was like, I don't even think she'll ever buy a house. But you know what?
Did you go talk to her?
Oh, no. I was shy back then. No. But I sat there and I was like, that's my business card.
Elbow the guy next to you. That's me over there. Here's one for you too.
Honestly, that was like, it made sense. It was like, okay, they're using my business cards, sure, for a bookmark, but like every time she reads that book, she's gonna look at my name.
Eryn
She's gonna look at
Modern
Modern Realty, 100%. And that's real estate. You just naturally market that way. That's how I do it anyway.
No, that's because like you said, I wasn't sure. I was shy back then. That's the tough part when you first start. Other than grinding open houses, you're wondering, how do I do this? Do I just go slap a sticker on the side of my car? What do I do?
Do I rent a billboard on the side of US 10?
Yeah,
like, what
do I do? And it's finding out, like you said, what works for you. I don't want to go to networking in a room at lunch meetings and stuff, but I'm happy to go to Loons games and just ask people what car they're driving and what new garage they'd like to park it in.
Exactly. So you get it. It's about knowing yourself and like building the brand around who you genuinely are, because you want to work with people who like you and who get you. And so being yourself and getting clients that way, that's the best gift. Yeah, you can't pretend to be like what we were talking about earlier with there's different types of agents, different types of personalities. If you try to be what you think you need to be, it's just not going to work. It's even if it's innocent, a lie is going to expose itself eventually, and you might find that people enjoy you better as just yourself. You don't need to be in a shirt and tie every time you go to a house or a dress or anything like that. You can just be Eryn, and that's usually the way it's going to work out. Just going to wear my Nike sneaks and I'm just going to roll up. That's just what it is. You're going to have to like it. So perfect. Well, Eryn, thank you so much for hanging out and chatting today. It was awesome. Yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Modern Agent Podcast. Please follow at Modern Realty Midland on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And if you need to buy or sell a house, please reach out to Modern Realty by going to www.modernrealty.us. Modern Realty, your home, our focus.